Hey everyone, so this is a Mercedes Sprinter and I'm going to run you through the most common issues and why these vehicles don't start. So this is the early model 906 and you can identify it by the front grille usually, which you should see now. And I'll show you the updated version, which is the facelift is what we call it. Jump inside and we'll show you the most common issues. One of the easiest things you can do on these Mercedes Sprinters for intermittent or the vehicle not starting is to just get a damp cloth and just give this front of the key a little bit of a clean, because it's got an IR sensor there. And the same applies over here at the ignition. You can just use a little bit of a damp cloth, make sure it's not wet, and just give that a little bit of a clean to ensure there's no dirt or anything, because if you just bought this vehicle secondhand, you don't know what the history is, if something has fallen here, because there is a cup holder at the top here. So there can be instances where things have fallen here. So that's the easiest thing to start off with, is those two items. The second, what I recommend doing is checking the relays. So if your vehicle is not starting, for example, if you put the key in the ignition and you turn it and none of the lights on the dashboard or anything are coming on, but you've turned the key fully, then I would recommend looking at the relays and getting that looked at and replaced. So do watch my other video, it goes into detail on that side of things. I'll put a link in the description and in the comments below. I highly recommend you watch that first. The second point which I cover in this video is if you put the key in the ignition and this steering lock doesn't release, then that means you've got a problem with the ESL. So continue watching on this video and I'll go into detail on covering that side of things. So do make sure you check out both videos. So check out the relay video first, because that's stage 1 of the repair, and if it's still playing up, then you can replace the ESL, which is covered in this video. So be sure to watch both videos which go in depth of both problems. If you don't know what ESL stands for, that's the electronic steering lock, because these Mercedes Sprinters have motor, so it runs a electric motor which locks the steering wheel in place. So that's locked at the moment, and when I put the key in, that's unlocked. That noise you hear is the motor, so that's why it's called an electronic steering lock.
Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to support the channel as well. If you hit the super like button, which should be down below here, it will really help the channel. The more you like and the more you subscribe, the more this video will go out and help a lot of people. So do check out my other video as well, where I go into detail about the relays and the other problem with the Mercedes Sprinter. So do check that out. Link will be in the description and in the comments below. So hopefully you could hear all of that. So I'll just try it again. If I go on my wide camera. So now you heard it start there. So this is a problem with the ESL, and I'll show you that now. You see how, I don't know if you can hear that noise, but that noise means that sometimes the steering lock doesn't release. Anyway, so that's an in-depth problem. You just saw the brake distribution force, and now it's starting. So in case you're stuck, that's what you can try and do to get your vehicle started, but I'll show you what the fault is now. So we come underneath the dashboard, just above the brake pedal on the steering column. This is where the ESL is located. ESL stands for electronic steering lock, and it's just over here what you can see. Keep watching the video and I'll explain it more in depth later on. So as you just saw, the vehicle had a problem starting. So if you watch my other video on the earlier model 906 Sprinters, so this is a late model one, and we can tell by the steering wheel and the speed limiter and the cruise control, You can watch my other video if you want to see that. So basically, that stock over there indicates that this is a late model one. So this is the facelift Mercedes Sprinter. So on these models, if you watch my earlier one, you would have seen that the starting issue was normally related to the relays, which I'll show you now. So there's the yellow relay and the gray relay, which is still current in the facelift 906. So if you look at the part numbers here, this is the part number, the superseded part number for the yellow relay. It's actually the same part number as the original one, but the real supersession happens with the gray ones. So this is the superseded part number of the gray relay over here. So we want to replace these relays, 2 of the gray, normally 1 of the yellow, or you can just go ahead and replace them all. What happens is they get corrosion over time, especially with motorhomes where they sit for a long time. So if you want to see that full video and where I pull apart the relay, check out the link in the description below. But on this late model one, on this late model unit, this is called the ESL, so the electronic steering lock. And if you notice, when I put the key in every time, when I put the key in and pull the key out, sometimes there was a, basically it releasing, you can hear the noise, it's an audible noise. These get worn out over time because it's a solenoid type setup. So as a result, this starts to fail over time, and then this doesn't release, and it causes all those communication errors, the brake distribution, ESP, and all those warning lights. So you will need a diagnostic tool as well once you replace this to clear the codes. Otherwise, this is the main problem on these late model units. And so I'll give you the part number of this ESL in case anyone needs it. So that's the unit over there. And again, the part numbers on the relay. So replace them as a set. The relays are not expensive and it's just peace of mind, especially if it's a motorhome. So do check out the other video down in the description if you want to see about the relays. Otherwise, just keep watching onto this video. Telltale sign of this unit failing is when you put the key in the ignition and you hear it struggling. So that's a telltale sign that this module is starting to fail. And if not caught in time, you can get stranded somewhere if this completely fails. But as I just showed you earlier, there is a way, if you keep playing with the ignition, you can get it started. So what I would recommend if you do have this problem of where the ignition is not starting, what you want to do is you want to start with the relays, because that's probably the easiest thing to start with. So start by replacing the relays. Most of the time, as if you're watching my other video, you'll see that most of the time that will fix the problem. Also check the ground cables. That's also another problem on these sprinters. Worth checking it, especially depends on the climate and the place you're at. Otherwise, we can move on to the ESL, which I showed you, and you can go ahead and get that replaced. I'll put up the description now. You should see that now of generally what the issue is, and I'll also put up a diagram of the relays. You have to replace a couple of them you can get away with. Otherwise, you can replace the whole lot on what I'll show you now. If this is worn, and if it does throw up communication errors after replacing the relay, then you can go ahead and just replace it. So if you're not replacing the steering lock, there's a little pin in here, which is held in by a Torx bit, which I'll show you now. I'll go underneath and show you. You have to undo that and then slot this new unit in. So this is the old faulty unit. I'll just go underneath and show you that now.
Now, one crucial thing to mention, in order to remove the bolt, so in order to remove this bolt over here, just at the top there, it's actually locked in. So this part here is where the motor is, and it's a worm type gear, and hopefully I can show you that now. So what you want to do is, as I showed you earlier how to play with the ignition to get it started, because sometimes it won't start. So see how it just released there? This is a different vehicle, so it's fine. You basically want to put the key in here, make sure the steering wheel is released. So if I show you that here, now the steering wheel is locked. So we want the steering wheel to be released. So try and wiggle and get this to work. Once it gets this to work, then you can go underneath there. Then you can release that bolt. Because if you try and open that bolt, it will not release because it's a slotted in bolt. And I'll show you that now. So this is the old unit, which was removed from the vehicle. And now if you look at the new one, notice how is a clear run right through. So that's very important. So you will not be able to remove the ESL unless you get the steering wheel locked to release. So as I showed you, put the key in here, make sure the steering wheel is free to move, and that way you'll be able to get to that. So this is why I go back to the fact of what I said before. Make sure that you do stage 1 of the repair first, which is replace the relays. Like I said, watch my other video if you need to see where that is and how that's all done, because most of the time that fixes the problem. But like I said, in the late model units and late model vehicles, I found that the ESL also fails, which is why you want to replace it. When I referred to it earlier as a solenoid, it's actually a motor. So just take note, it's actually a motor in it, but generally we refer to it as a solenoid. But it's actually a motor with a gear drive in it.
My best to show you the replacement of the lock and where the Torx bolt is. So you come underneath here. It'll be hard to see, but I'll try my best. Just over there. And then it's just clipped in over here. So it's just clipped in, and then you unplug the connector, which is at the bottom here. You should get away without having to scan it, but you might have to plug it in to a scan tool, or you can take it into your local workshop just to clear the codes once you replace this unit. Relays have been replaced, and the ESL has also been replaced. Don't know if you can tell the difference in sound. Hear how it's instantaneous now? Notice how everything starts up straight away. So I'll do that again. Starts up instantly perfectly this time, and there's no fault codes or anything of that sort anymore. So because these Mercedes Sprinters and most late model vehicles run a CAN bus system, if one of the modules fail, so if the electronic module fails internally of this unit over here, it can throw up all sorts of weird fault codes. So that's why you always start by clearing off the fault codes initially and then retesting the system. So like I said, stage 1 of the repair would consist of just replacing those relays, and then we can move on to this side of things, where we actually further diagnose the vehicle, and then if it's deemed that this is faulty, then you can go ahead and just get this replaced. Just remove the Torx screw from here, unclip it, and then just replace this in here. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope this video was of some help to you. Please do like and subscribe so that more people can view this video and fix their own problem, because I know a lot of people have experienced this no starting issue and people tend to get stranded. So if you do share and like this video, it'll help it reach a wider audience, and it'll help a lot more people. So do like and subscribe, and also if you want to support me and support the channel and the work we do, you could use the super like button, and you can just select the amount, and yeah, it really helps us out. So make sure you do check out my channel. I've got a lot of other videos on campers, cars, a lot of troubleshooting, a lot of how-to guides. I go in depth into a lot of other items, from suburban water heaters, Truma water heaters, a lot of parts that cover the RV side of things. So stay tuned, subscribe, and do check out the channel for a lot more content.